Okay, so today I'm going to try to do another video. Hopefully this one works out better than what I was trying to do yesterday. So I think what I'm going to do is start right at the very beginning about the paints I use and explain a little bit of my painting process on how I do value paintings before I add color, about saturated color, desaturated color, and your warm and cool primaries. I am going to work today basically with just our 3 warm primaries, which are Cad Red Light. I prefer Cad Red Light. Cadmium Yellow Light or Medium, and Ultramarine Blue. Those 3 colors are your 3 primaries in the warm family. Now, I use, for myself, I prefer these Tri-Art or Golden. They have, I find, the best pigment for what I am trying to achieve. Those are the 3 that I'll be using primarily when you see me paint. There are other brands. This is Liquitex. I'm not as familiar with Liquitex, but it's still a good brand. There is also from Michaels, their 2 brands, Basic and Artist Loft. Turn that around. If you're starting out, my students buy this, it's fine. As you progress in your painting, you're going to want to switch to a better brand. There just isn't enough pigment within the paint. They have more gels and in them and polymer than pigment, so you're not going to get the same effect, but it's fine for starting. The others are, of course, from the dollar store, Dollarama, your dollar store paint, and I am going to try and do a painting with this for you beginners that don't want to invest a lot of money. So what I have here is bright red, bright yellow, and peacock blue. Those were the 3 colors I could get close enough to what I feel is a Cad Red Light or medium, a Cad Yellow, and a ultramarine. This is also the color, the bright red, I have to stress the bright red, that I paint my canvases with. I give it a good coat of bright red, set it aside, let it dry, and that is what I paint on. I like to have a little bit of warmth coming through my painting as I paint. So I'm going to start off with my a few more things, my palettes. So Stay Wet palette that you can get from Michaels. Mine is well worn. It comes with a pad, a foam pad, but as time goes on, they kind of wear out. So I just get these terry cloth pads from the dollar store. It also comes with special paper that you soak and put in to keep wet. But with those papers too, they're fairly expensive. I just buy from the dollar store parchment paper, works perfectly well. Wrap my sponge with it. My sponge is wet. This will keep my paints moist. I also have then here, maybe you can see it from the side, a large Stay Wet palette. Okay, do the same thing. Here's the foam that it comes with, which I dampen and put my parchment paper. 1 full sheet fits perfectly, and I quite often work from this. So what I'm going to show you today is the making of what I call my mother color. And my mother color is what I use as an underpainting for everything that I paint. So I'm just going to get a piece of paper out here. We'll talk about desaturating a color later on, so in the next video. So I'm going to put my paints out here. So this is my Cad Yellow. And when you do this, you may want to get into the habit of putting your paints out in the same order on your palette. It just helps you for grabbing the colors that you need. You know exactly where they are. And I'm going to put out white. 2 other colors from the dollar store that I always tell my students to get is the dollar store white and dollar store black. More about that later. All right, so I'm going to use, and this is my better quality paint, and I want to make my mother color, and my mother color is a purple. It's kind of a murky, I always tell my students, it's a murky purple. I have a little container here also that I get from the dollar store. And once I have my mother color mixed up, I scrape it off and I put it into this little container with a snap-on lid. And I don't have to go through the process of mixing it every time once I get a good batch. So I'm going to start with my ultramarine blue, and I'm just using an old brush to mix. Some people like to mix with a palette knife. I prefer a brush. So I'm going to take a good dollop of my ultramarine blue, and to that I'm going to put a little bit less of my red. And I want to mix these colors really, really well. And that's looking pretty good right out of the gate. And to that, I'm going to put the smallest amount, of yellow. Not a lot of yellow. If I put too much yellow, then I have to reevaluate that color to see if it's too red, too blue, too green. When I'm mixing this up, if my color is too red, then I would add blue. If I put too much yellow in and it becomes green, in order to cut the green, we look across at the color chart. A complementary color is yellow, so to cut green, is red, excuse me.